All right, Purple Huddle. We're halftime. Chiefs and Vikings all squared up at 13 through the first 30 minutes of this game. Honestly, from a Vikings perspective, they're doing about just about everything that they can in this game, and it's really showing on both sides of the ball. I think the defense has had a really strong game. I mean, limiting Patrick Mahomes to 80 yards passing for most of the first half. That was just a really good job by Brian Flores' group, mixing up some of those blitzes. The coverage schemes have been great. Cam Bynum and Jordan Hicks have been playing outside of their minds all season, and that's translated again into this afternoon. Um, but yeah, the one thing again, we've harped on it all season long, but it's these silly turnovers, man. Josh Oliver, first play of the game, he gets a nice catch, about 15 yards, fumbles the ball away. Kansas City gets the ball back, and that's the one touchdown that they've scored all game was after that turnover. They went right down the field. Isaiah Pacheco punches the ball into the end zone. They get a touchdown there, and they take an early lead. And now they get the ball to start the second half. So yeah, that turnover is the one big flaw, and it's been a consistent flaw for the Vikings all season long. But outside of that, I really don't think that this Vikings team could be playing much better in this game. Tied at 13, that's pretty much all you can ask for. Vikings are winning just about every single battle in this game right now, and it's just Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to do what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do. They're going to stick around in this game, and they're going to hope to deliver the final blow at the end and come away with a victory. But you just look at some of the stats here. We've been trying to convince the Vikings to run the ball more consistently all season, and they've kind of started doing that over the past couple of weeks. 12 rushes for 52 yards in the first half. It's not going to blow anybody out of the water or anything, but it's just a consistent approach where they're actually committing to running the ball on a consistent basis, and that's helped them win the time of possession battle through the first 30 minutes. They've had the ball for 16 minutes, 16 seconds compared to the Chiefs, 13 minutes and 44 seconds. They're playing clean football. They haven't committed too many penalties. They've had just the one penalty for the 10 yards. And then on the other side, the Chiefs have committed 7 penalties for 61, which has really helped the Vikings. And hopefully that continues into the second half. But yeah, really strong football. Jordan Addison, after being held catchless against the Carolina Panthers last week, has come out with a vengeance in this one. 4 catches for 47 yards and that touchdown at the end of the second half to temporarily, or at the end of the second quarter, to temporarily put Minnesota on top. And obviously, the field goal takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails. You hate to see that 2-minute drill actually end up in points for the Chiefs, and now they get the ball back to begin the second half. But I mean, that's just Patrick Mahomes. That's what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have done to opponents throughout his entire career since he's been starting football games. They take advantage of the opportunities that they have, and they make plays when they absolutely need to, and they've done that so far. But one touchdown for the Chiefs through 2 quarters, and the Vikings are tied in this game against the defending Super Bowl champs. I don't think we could be asking for a much better game. They have more first downs. The yardage is similar. They're winning the ground battle. And Kirk Cousins has had a pretty decent game. I think that early on there were a few moments where they just seemed like the timing was a little bit off between him and his receivers. They missed a couple throws there. The KJ Osborne one in the end zone in the second quarter definitely comes to mind, especially that could have been another touchdown for the Vikings, but he just didn't have the ball. He didn't have his eye on the ball, didn't turn his head around quick enough, and they just didn't connect. TJ Hawkinson had one bounce off of his hands in the second quarter, could have resulted in another first down, but overall, I don't think we can be asking much more from the Vikings through the first 2 quarters of this game. They've come out. The defense is flying all over the place. Danielle Hunter got another sack. He didn't have one last week, but he's back in there again, and he's got his 6th sack of the season. So it's great to see him making an impact. Garrett Bradbury got a start. So he's back on the field. That's really great to see. Really promising sign for the offensive line. Still no Dalton Reisner, but I've alluded to this throughout the past week. I don't really know if the Vikings necessarily need him at this point. Ed Ingram, I think, is playing fine. Ezra Cleveland's been incredible in pass protection at that left guard spot. So mixing things up at this point, I don't really know if it's a necessary adjustment for the Vikings to make until one of those 2 guys really goes downhill for the Vikings. Like Ed Ingram, you can say what you want about some of his pass protection reps. There are definitely a few moments where he looks a little bit lost out there still, but I think he's taking a lot of strides forward compared to what we saw in his rookie season, and it's great to see that from him. And as for Cleveland's just having a career year, I think ultimately he's going to hold down that left guard spot, regardless of Dalton Reisner being there. But yeah, Marcus Davenport's still on the defense too. So him getting in there for back-to-back games is really great to see. And actually, Jaquelin Roy made a start at the nose tackle spot for the Vikings, rookie 5th-round pick out of LSU. So interesting to see them mixing things up on the defensive front. I don't exactly know what the snap count is through the first half, but seems like he's been in there a decent amount to start the game. So it'd be interesting to see if that continues into future weeks for the Vikings. But yeah, just really, really solid first half. Especially you needed to come out and do this after you fall down to that 1-3 hole, that 0-3 hole, and then you get that win last week in Carolina. But everybody expected you to do that. Now you got the defending champs in your house, and there's a lot of red in that stadium from what I've been able to see. So it kind of feels like it's a very split crowd at this point, and the fact that the Vikings are making this one interesting against the defending champs should provide a lot of hope for Vikings fans, and hopefully they're able to pull this one out. They definitely need to get a stop here at the start of the second half. They can't allow Patrick Mahomes to catch fire and drive down the field for a touchdown to take the lead in this game, because once he catches fire, man, he's going to go completely off on you. So they need to be able to continue to contain him. They've done a pretty decent job of that outside of the 2-minute drill. But yeah, again, just really great first half for the Vikings. I'm really impressed with what I've seen from this team outside of that stupid fumble. If they can limit these turnovers, if that's the only turnover that they have in this game, I think the Vikings have a pretty decent chance at winning this one, which would be really awesome to see, with Detroit already winning earlier today. Green Bay is going to have a road game tomorrow night in Las Vegas. It seems like it's probably a win in my book from them. And then Chicago also got a win on Thursday. We're looking at a position here where the Vikings need a win, and just in order to keep pace with everybody else in their division right now. And to stay out of that cellar with a road game against Chicago next weekend. So really great start for the Vikings. Hopefully it continues. We'll have plenty of content over on Vikings territory and Purple PTSD when this game ends. So yeah, make sure to check out the websites after the game. Plenty of stuff is going to be going up. I'll be writing a ton tonight and tomorrow morning. So all sorts of stuff to check out over there in the coming days. But yeah, go Vikes. Let's go get a win, baby.